Hi everyone, this is Shraboni. I got a lot of requests from folks in organizational development field that to how can I explain and help people understand the process of change management in an easy way through my learning nuggets. So here I am. This is the change management learning nugget. The most common queries that I get is that even though people are aware of ProSci's ADCAR process and everything, but they have this struggle and understanding to how to move about in these stages of change management and what is the best thing to do when we are dealing with the change in a process. Folks, please remember the most important things in change management. Three important things in change management is communication, communication, and communication. Yes, you heard that right. I did mention communication thrice because we have to be very clear and we be very systematic with our communication in three stages of the change process. The first communication is before the change process has actually begun. The first stage of communication starts when you actually start communicating the vision of the change as to why the company or the organization needs to go through the change and what is it that we are trying to achieve with the change and have your stakeholder buy in. So this is the first stage of communication. This stage comes in before your actual changes have started to be implemented. So this first stage of your communication is before any kind of change implementation starts happening. So the first communication is to basically do your gap analysis and to communicate that with your stakeholders and to basically have your stakeholder buy in and also to communicate with your organization at large as to why is this important. A good change management project would also have, before they actually have the pre-change communication done, they would also have a change culture sensitization done. Usually that is done way before and then we arrive at the idea as to why the change is needed. So change sensitization is done and then we arrive at why is the change needed and how are people reacting to it, and hence that pre-communication is just determined as to what kind of language and tone are we going to use, and that is basically determined from the pre-sensitization data. And that's how we determine the communication that we do in the first stage, that is to have our change vision communication and the stakeholder buy-in as I defined in the first stage. The second stage of your change communication is the actual process of implementation. So this is where you have the whole plan of the project and stepwise determining as to how we proceed with the strategic plan as we had in our minds, and how do we determine that we are actually proceeding in the right stage. So basically, in a typical scaled agile framework kind of an environment, there would be multiple change projects that is running. So in those kind of environments, we need to have these communications to show that everything is running as per plan and what kind of proceedings are we having in the implementation plan, where the change projects are running towards the broader goal which the company has in mind about the change. This stage includes the bulk of the ADCAR process. You will have your awareness created, your desire created. Awareness and desire is, however, created in the first stage, but there is also some aspect of awareness and desire in this page. You will have your the knowledge and the ability. So basically a lot of training and development, basically a lot of upskilling, basically a lot of process improvement and process reengineering functions that happens in this page and stage of change management, which is the major bulk of the stage. And then as we proceed towards the end of the implementation, which is more towards the reinforcement aspect, we come to the third stage of communication. And this stage of communication is actually about how far have we achieved what we set out to achieve through our change management project. Remember, change management is not a one-time wonder. It has to be very sustainable, and hence there is the reinforcement aspect of it. You need to know whether you have been able to do what you set out to do, and if yes, then you have to ensure that you can keep that reinforced and sustained so that your change process is just not like a one-time wonder, but actually can be replicated for the overall organizational development scopes. Many a times we also notice that there are certain challenges that we face when we do these change management projects, and which is very natural. Change is very disruptive, just to be aware of. The process of changes is very disturbing and disruptive, and it's not easy to go through the process. So it's very essential to have your, to have all your variables and to have all your energies and things, scoped into the belief that yes, we are going the right way. There are a lot of diversions and there are a lot of distractions in the process, and there is always the tendency to fall back to the old ways of doing things, because the process of change is very disruptive. So you have the tendency to see a lot of quick failures happening in the process, and that is okay. That is very much a part of the process. But a good change management team would also have these failures, like we call it, or these little challenges as we call it, basically defined out as to why this happened and what led to it, and why we can counter this and how we can counter that, and hence lead towards the change goal, that is the overall organizational vision. This is basically the three stages, like I mentioned: your pre-communication, your implementation communication, and your post-implementation communication of the change. And remember, there are a few things you need to know when you do going through the change management processes. There are two things that has to happen simultaneously in a change management process, that is the people and the process side of change. So you cannot have a process change happening if you are not basically creating the mindset in the people who will be dealing with the process. And you cannot uplift the people and their abilities and basically take them to a whole notch higher level and still work with the same process, and basically people see that, oh, I went through a whole bunch of training and upgrading and self uplifting and upskilling, but I'm basically doing the same thing, so I don't have anything new to do or something better to do. So people and process change actually literally goes hand in hand. There is a little balancing here and there, but it has to happen kind of simultaneously. The same in case if you are going through a platform change management. So this is what I wanted to communicate about the quick nuggets of change management learning. If you have any questions, and if you have any queries, or if you want to reach out for any kind of quick learning nuggets, my coordinates are given. You can always contact me through email or phone, or through LinkedIn, and I will be happy to share with you more quick nuggets, learning nuggets based on the queries that I get.